Yo, what's going on, everyone? Today's video is sponsored by absolutely nobody. If you are watching this video, thank you. I greatly appreciate that. I work hard on these reviews on a weekly basis, pumping them out pretty consistently. So if you've ever caught one of my past reviews, or if you've ever engaged with any of my content here, thank you so much. I appreciate you doing that and taking the time to engage and catch up with what I'm working on this week. And on that note, today's video will be discussing, of course, the debut album by Maggie Lindemann, a contemporary American pop-punk sensation. Maggie hits listeners with her debut album entitled Sucker Punch. Lindemann first hit my radar back in 2020 with the release of a bombastic and rocking single entitled Gaslight. Released along with fellow alternative artist Sick Brain, this tune inevitably sucked me in, and funny enough was how I discovered both artists at the time. Lindemann went on to release an EP in 2021 entitled Paranoia, and I have heard a few songs. Gaslight is one of the songs from that project, and I enjoyed what I heard, though I do have to admit I haven't listened to the EP in full, but I might go back and revisit and listen in its entirety. Sucker Punch is a total of 15 tracks, sitting around 50 minutes in runtime. And as always, I'll be offering my thoughts and highlights track by track, of course, starting with the first, entitled Intro/Welcome In. The opening track features a beautiful and somber piano performance. It's a soft and emotional introduction for the album. There's synth strings in the background, which create a wonderful aura, and towards the end we can hear vocal harmonies, and rock drums eventually join the mix to ease the transition into what follows the meat of the album. And with that, we transition into track 2, entitled Take Me Nowhere. This is a sleek and catchy pop-punk tune. I love the way Lindemann's vocals sound on the mix. It's really in the spotlight for the majority of the song, and now that I think about it, the same goes for most of the album. I love the vocal melodies here, and her vocal performance just does it for me. The blend of clean pop vocals with the punk-infused production works beautifully. In the background, we've got great guitar tones and riffs, and syncopated drums. The electric guitar tones are spicy and go down smoothly. Just imagine your favorite hot sauce in audio form. The tones also shift beautifully during the bridge, the guitars that is, evoking a brief sense of submersion as if the mix were briefly underwater. This is a solid start for the album and a highlight for me. Lyrically, Lindemann speaks on what it's like to feel lost and alone. She's likely speaking from the perspective of an artist in the music industry, as she sings on the chorus, "Live for your entertainment, die for a moment to take me nowhere, far from all the pain I'm feeling." She also elaborates during the 2 pre-choruses. I like the way she puts it in the first. "'Cause nobody's real until they shatter. Wait till it's dark and they start. Sending fake love in poison flowers, lifting you up to drop you after." Track 3 is entitled She Knows It. This is another catchy tune which blends pop-punk with various pop aesthetics. The song exudes streamlined angst and jumpy energy. The verse sections, for example, feature 808-type drums, which provide an interesting contrast for the song, as the pre-chorus and chorus sections sound like traditional pop-punk. This is most evident when you listen closely to the chord progression and guitar riffs of the song. I enjoy the bridge section a lot as it shifts the melodies beautifully, and Lindemann's performance here is solid. Lyrically, she speaks on unrequited love. She's specifically referring to a girl she's fallen for, but for one reason or another, things just never worked out. Fast forward, and the girl is now dating some guy, and this leads to many conflicting emotions for Lindemann. I love the way she puts it on the chorus when she sings, "You seem lonely and it's so damn cruel. 'Cause you're so back and forth like you're striking a chord, and you're leading me on when you know that it's wrong. In denial, everybody sees it but you." Track 4 is entitled Casualty of Your Dreams. This song switches up the energy slightly, as the instrumental features many synths and electronic elements, and it won't be the last time on the album that we have that. You can hear it right at the beginning with the main synth melody opening up the song. There's a steady rock accompaniment behind it as well. The verse sections feature more synth-infused elements in the percussion, with chopped samples in the background for extra movements and just energy. The chorus sections are also bursting with energy as Lindemann belts out a beautiful performance with melodies soaring high above the mix. The synth melody then reappears during the choruses, and I would have liked for the timbre of that melody to go harder, but it honestly works for the song as it is. Lindemann's vocals are the center of the attention, so it would have made for a muddy mix. I just wish the song would have been a bit harder. The song gets a lot more interesting as it does go on, with the section after the second chorus hitting the listener with a new synth melody. It's like Mercury in the way that it moves. It's so smooth and liquid-like. After this section, Lindemann sings the same melody as the synth line that we hear from the beginning, and it works very well. I love that. She then hits us with one more unique chorus featuring a quiet piano accompaniment before the mix finally explodes one last time. Thematically, Lindemann speaks of a relationship where you're just constantly being lied to. As she sings on the chorus, there's no need for apologies because honestly, fuck your honesty, I'm done. Think you like the insanity, I'm the casualty of your dreams because I'm not the one. I also love how she elaborates during the second verse. She sings, dug yourself a grave, no surprise. Should have known better, so now it's time that you die in it. You got what you wanted from me. Made your bed, should have left when you knew you would lie in it. Track 5 is entitled Self-Sabotage. This song follows a similar sonic style as the previous, implementing more electronic elements in an effective way. The intro features an indie electronic-infused approach to the percussion, the way that I feel it, with guitar riffs in the background bringing the sound together. This soon transitions into the pop-punk sound for the chorus sections. I enjoy the guitar tones heard in the background for the verses. They sound really smooth. New synths and melodies are gradually introduced in the second verse, with the mix swelling for the build-up into the second chorus. What then follows after that is a cool synth breakdown with a thick kick and blippy synth melodies that steal the show for me. The subsequent chorus is unique as it features a fake-out of sorts when the chorus first starts, with a filter thrown onto the mix to spice up the instrumental in a not subtle but just small and effective way. The mix does feel like it shrinks. And thematically, Lindemann sings about being unable to accept the love that you're receiving from another person. She highlights it best during the chorus as she sings, it's a self-fulfilling prophecy. I know I'm gonna fuck it up with you and me. Shit's never going my way. Now I'm drowning in blame. You could call it self-sabotage. Track 6 is entitled Phases. The pop-punk energy on this track is strong, with minimal pop elements such as the percussion during the verses. They're close to an 808 groove with minimal syncopation in the kicks. This energy then builds into the chorus with extra drum samples, sustained synths, and guitar riffs widening the mix at that point. The rest of the song features minor changes, with the vocal melodies carrying a lot of the song for me. I do enjoy the filter added to the drums during the bridge, though. It does keep the song interesting from a sonic perspective. And thematically, it's a sad and straightforward song as Lindemann explains her conflicting emotions as she describes dealing with a terrible and abusive partner. As she sings on the chorus, phases, take my heart, throw it on the pavement. Break it just so you can stitch it up and save it. You only love me when you feel like it. I don't think love's supposed to feel like this. And I just have to say, if you ever find yourself in a relationship like this, please leave ASAP. What follows is track 7, entitled I'm So Lonely With You. This song brings some hard rock energy to the album with crunchy guitar riffs and heavier percussion, thus making the song a bit more captivating. The mix is super thin at the intro, but steadily widens until we reach the first chorus where it's at its maximum wideness. The drums are thick and syncopated, providing a lot of groove, a lot of oomph for the song. The music is also given moments to breathe, which help give the song a larger sense of progression, thus also making it more enjoyable. The vocal melodies are probably, in my opinion, the strongest parts of the song, though. Lindemann has explained in interviews that this song is about a relationship that should have ended a long time ago. It's the type of bond where the love is long gone, but you just can't envision a life without that other person. As she sings in the bridge and final chorus, nothing really feels the same, but no one can take your place. I'm scared I won't be okay if you leave me. I was looking for someone like you, but turns out happy endings just aren't true. Because times are changing, our love is fading out. Track 8 is entitled Break Me, featuring Sick Brain. The album's energy then pivots here, with more synth elements bleeding through to create a unique and captivating blend of rock and electronica. It hits us right at the beginning with lonely and hollow synth chords. The percussion during the verse blends a rock drum set with a synth sound palette, thus creating a distinct blend of percussion. This is sonically expanded upon during the chorus sections, which closely resemble what I believe to be an EDM drop. We can hear chopped screams, sliding synth melodies, big drums, and subtle guitars. The synth melodies sound sleek and work great for the song, and the subtle usage of electric guitars make for a compelling mix. At the end, we have another synth melody introduced, and soon the music fades out. I have to speak on Sick Brain's presence on the song. As I alluded to earlier, it's not the first time these two have worked together. This is actually their third collaboration so far. The vocal chemistry is solid, with Lindemann providing melody and Sick Brain bringing aggression and rage to the song. It's a blend of timbres that continues to work well for the duo. Thematically, they highlight a dark mental space as they describe being mentally broken down by another person. It's what can happen in those risky type of romances, the ones where you just don't see those red flags in the other person. As the vocalists put it in this first verse, "Taste you and I breathe so deep. Heart beats hard, my knees go weak. Mouth glued shut and I can't speak. Why does fear make me complete? Little more lust and some addiction. I fell in love for a quick minute, trying to cope with self-infliction, drinking till I'm incoherent." Track 9 is entitled Girl Next Door. The song gets off to a quiet start with melancholic guitar and synth accompaniment, and Lindemann provides a nice performance to carry the listener into the explosion that is the chorus. It almost feels like an EDM drop in the way that it's executed, with a brief buildup of snares leading us directly into it. The chorus consists of chunky guitar riffs and steady rock breaks. The following verse section, though, sprinkles in some 808-infused drums, with stuttering hi-hats and syncopated kicks to add some groove to the music. And soon, the music builds into the second chorus, which is bigger and longer than the first. There's haunting vocal melodies here floating in the background, stuttering hi-hats moving from the right and left channels, and an added sense of space due to more reverb being present in the mix. And thematically, the song feels like it's about dissociation, I believe. For example, Lindemann sings on the chorus, "Whatever happened to the girl next door? She's all grown up, she don't come home anymore. I look at her and I'm all that I see. She's in the mirror looking back at me." It's quite vague though, so I could be wrong. Track 10 is entitled We Never Even Dated. This is a somber ballad, changing the energy drastically for the album, as Lindemann sings along with a soft acoustic guitar accompaniment. The mix then expands to include subtle synth percussion and strings in the background. It's like a blend of violins and violas. The mix continues to build with each coming section, with a piano and louder drum set eventually being added. It's a beautiful blend of sound, and at the very end, we're left with an emotional string section to just kind of ponder and feel. Thematically, this is a melancholic song about reflecting on an old bond, like the type of friendship that could have blurred the lines between friendship and romance, and both parties were clearly falling for each other, though no one ever acted upon it. I love the way Lindemann sums it up during the last few sections as she sings, "Tell your girlfriend that I hate her too, 'cause you never looked at me the way that you looked at her. Like, you're sure with hearts in your eyes, why am I so surprised? So I'll delete your number, pretend you don't exist, tell myself it's nothing, but we both know it is. If you ever called me to tell me you want me, then I'd tell you too." Track 11 is entitled Novocaine. This song kicks the album back into another gear, as a scream is the first thing we hear at the intro, followed by a synth rock drum break. The verse that follows shrinks the mix down to feature 808-influenced pop drums, with Lindemann providing solid vocals on top. The chorus section explodes again, bringing in synth melodies, smooth guitar riffs, and a bombastic drum performance. The bridge after the second chorus brings new vocal melodies to the song, and the mix swiftly explodes into the third chorus. The drums are different here and feel more fluid, mainly sprinkling in extra fills to add progression to the music. And thematically, Lindemann sings of a dark mental space, one where you're constantly looking for something to numb your pain and suffering. I like the way she puts it on the bridge. "Tell my mom that I'm sorry, don't know how I got this way. Her baby's in the darkness, she's begging me to stay. I'm fighting through the pain, I try my best to stop it. No one should take the blame." What follows is track 12, entitled You're Not Special. This track is another personal favorite, as it's oozing with a ton of pop-punk flair. The percussion features a blend of pop samples and traditional rock drum set. There's crunchy guitar tones and what I think are synth growls, which sound close to an electric guitar. I enjoy the structure of the song as it does create a faster pace for the music. The chorus is super catchy. The bridge highlights more catchy melodies as the mix shrinks to feature strummed acoustic guitar, and the vocals are just drenched in reverb. The outro of the song mirrors that kind of sound as well. And thematically, it's pretty straightforward as Lindemann highlights what it's like to live in someone's head rent free, as the kids would say. Lindemann sings directly to someone else, clearly a person she was close to at some point in her life. She's now reflecting on where their relationship stands in the present, and it's a huge difference in how they feel about each other. I like the way Lindemann puts it during the first verse as she sings, "I heard you screaming that you want me dead. Is that what the voice says inside of your head? You're gonna burst so full of spite, like I'm your personal parasite. I play the villain in your life, whatever helps you sleep at night." Track 13 is entitled Hear Me Out, and this is yet another personal favorite of mine, largely due to the vocal performance and melodies. I'd say Lindemann is at her very best here, with so much emotion in her performance as she soars on the mix. The instrumental consists of steady rock drums, chugging guitars, and subtle synth elements in the background. The verses steadily build into the choruses, and it sounds great, but one minor thing I noticed at the first chorus is that the mix clips a bit as soon as we hit that first beat of the chorus. I'm not sure why this is the case, but it did become distracting once I realized I could hear it during every listen of the song. But the rest of the mix doesn't have any noticeable issues like that, which is curious to me. I'm not really sure what happened there. But anyway, on Twitter, Lindemann has noted that this song is her most personal to date. And it shows. I mean, thematically, she sings of feeling unheard. The song comes from a very heartbreaking place, as we can infer that another person had a direct negative impact at some point on her psyche and well-being. She puts it beautifully during the bridge and final chorus as she sings, "I guess that's just a part of me that I will always have to grieve. Took my soul and let it bleed. You stole what should belong to me. Poison through my veins, took something, never explain. Why can't nobody ever hear me out?" Track 14 is entitled How Could You Do This to Me, featuring Kellen Quinn. More pop-punk energy here with a huge guitar riff and energetic drum performance. Lindemann brings more solid vocals here as she flexes a strong, sustained tone and performance during the verses and choruses. There's an interesting filter added to the vocals during the chorus as well. It's like a crunchy effect, and the same applies to all the choruses, actually. And Kellen Quinn has her own verse and chorus here, providing huge contrast in tones as she brings a more rich, punk-infused performance to the song. Her voice is very different from Maggie's. It's a bit less polished when compared to Lindemann's timbre, but it does sound great. I'd say both vocalists sound really great on the song and stylistically complement each other very well. The vocal melodies are strong, and the contrasting sounds presented here make for a captivating and memorable song. Thematically, this is an interesting one, as from the title, one would believe that it's written from the perspective of someone that's been damaged by some kind of relationship. However, the song is actually written from the perspective of the type of partner that's likely causing the harm in a relationship. The song is meant to highlight what it can be like to be the toxic lover. The chorus sums up the core theme best as both vocalists sing together. "You know I love to take control, so I'll be leaving you out here to bleed. Drag you down with me, you'll never get away from me. Feel me wrap around you until you scream, how could you do this to me?" And lastly, track 15 is entitled Cages. Personally, this is my least favorite song of the album, and I'm not sure why it was left on the project. The vocal melodies feel lazy just because they are so simple. The instrumental does its best to make the song interesting, but falls short because it feels generic. The lyrics may be the strongest part of the song just because they are so straightforward. Lindemann sings of unapologetically being yourself, despite what anyone may have to say about it. As she highlights on the chorus, "I don't live for you, I live for me. Can't shut me up, you'll hear me scream. Lions aren't meant for cages, let me live my life. Don't need approval, not from you. Don't need your take on what I do." I'd say it's a generic pop-punk song. It was intended to be one of the lead singles for the album, but I believe the rest of the songs on the album are so great on their own and far more interesting than this tune. I don't think it's a bad song, but it's largely overshadowed by the rest of the album, which all comes before this one. and thus feels like an afterthought when heard in context. When revisiting the album in the future, I'm likely to stop the music before I even get to this song. But overall, I really enjoyed this album. I enjoyed it a lot. I'd say it's a very strong project for being a debut album. While the sounds showcased here may not be novel in their execution, it's nothing groundbreaking, it is a sleek repackaging of pop punk that makes for a captivating and fun listen. I enjoy Lindemann's vocals, and I'd say the blend of her straight pop vocals and punk-infused instrumentals create a soundscape that's both inviting and accessible. This is great for the music listener that's looking to give rock music a try. Maybe you've never listened to rock. It's a good place to start since a lot of the music isn't too jarring and the melodic elements are very strong throughout. There's a few tracks that do push the envelope a tiny bit in terms of aesthetics, especially that track with Sick Brain, for example. So it's overall a good listen if you're just looking for rocking riffs and catchy melodies. I'm excited to see where Maggie goes from here, and I'm just definitely on board for the ride, excited to see what she does next. And if you've sat here and you've listened to me talk about Maggie Lindemann and her debut album, Sucker Punch, thank you so much. If you're looking for something, as I mentioned, some rock music that isn't too, I guess, jarring, too out of left field, this is kind of a safe option for you. And I do recommend you give it a listen. It's just so much fun. And with that being said, if you are working on new music, if you make art, or if you're listening to new music and you're excited about it and you really want to share that with somebody, you can certainly send that my way. And if you want constructive criticism or just some feedback, I'm more than happy to provide that as well. And with all that being said, I hope you're having a very wonderful day. Make sure to keep yourself safe, stay warm out there, stay hydrated. Have a good one. Peace.